In the year 1997, the future is in chaos and turmoil. Mankind is on the brink of extinction. Brave survivors band together and build a time displacement apparatus to receive a signal from a parallel future. This transmission is the Wundercast.
There's one team that kicks ass. They're assembled. They're the Wundercast. Never back down from the brass. Always start first. Never finish last. Had a mock speed. Bit too fast. Oh no, they're out of gas. It's okay there. Just a podcast. They're the greatest. We're the Wundercast.
Welcome to the Wundercast, the podcast that knows that if you're gonna paint half your face down the middle, you're always gonna end up with half your face ripped off by the end of the match. God, I just ruined that intro. No, damn it. It was good until I flubbed. I am your almost perfect host, Steven. And with me today is the they of theys, our non-binary member of the Wundercast, D-Rock, world champion of the Trials of Trivia, of wrestling podcasting, and of just being non-binary in general.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at that, I'd say. I think, yeah.
He's going to lead us through this week's AEW coverage on this episode of The Fuse.
Woo!
I'll put in a clip from like the theme song. It's like,
Yeah.
Fuse, Dynamite.
Right, yeah. Also, you gotta, we got one.
It's a challenge.
I know. I just wanted to make, because, this is, people are going to hear this, so I just want to make sure.
I edited the last episode, and I cut out my flubs, or the one flub that I caught. So.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to, like, necessarily edit it out. Like, I don't want to, like, make believe it didn't happen necessarily, but, yeah, I think, maybe we should, like, have some content warnings even, like, just for anybody that might listen to this who might be, not happy about that.
Sure. Just tell me how to write that out, and I totally will.
Yeah, it's super easy. It's like a CW, accidental misuse of pronouns. I'm sure that, I'm fine with it being out there with, the mistakes in it, as long as it's tagged like that. So I approve.
Sure.
So it's not injuring me in any way. So it's all good.
We are a constant work in progress.
Yes, totally.
And this week, Friday Night Dynamite is very much a work in progress as AEW builds towards their big Saturday night show coming up, and ultimately they're returning to the road.
And the big, yeah. Okay, you got it. I have faith in you. This definitely had a little bit of the feel of a, episode to set up future episodes in a lot of ways. I thought it was a good episode in terms of that. It wasn't, we're so accustomed to such great episodes week after week. This was not on par with a lot of those, but it was good for what it needed to accomplish, I think. So I liked it.
They did take a swing. they started the show with the Jake Hager Warldlow MMA Cage fight, and they tried to give it the production, sort of style of a UFC event.
Right.
The first thing that sort of knocked me off kilter this episode was that they didn't have a crowd, and some of these matches were pre-recorded maybe on different nights.
Mhm.
I don't know. And I felt like they were pulling in crowd noise that was, inauthentic.
Yeah.
And it threw me off. I don't know if you had that experience.
I mean, I didn't really notice anything off about the crowd noise. Not that that means that it wasn't, but it didn't jump out at me. I mean, I seeing that they started with Hager and Wardlow, I kind of knew, like, you have that. I wasn't sure, like, I thought maybe they would like record it somewhere else, even with a like set up a cage somewhere else, but they had it right there, where the ring usually is. So I kind of figured, oh, that obviously has to be pre-recorded because they can't just like lift that up and take it away.
Yeah.
So I I didn't really notice the crowd that much. I guess maybe I'm still kind of used to no crowds. So any crowd noise is like, I'm happy about it. But I thought the match itself, to me, it was about as good as you could fake a shoot fight. That's not an easy thing to do. I thought it was pretty stiff, but still seemed pretty obviously scripted in ways that looked organic enough to look cool. I thought it was really interesting that Wardlow more or less dominated this match when Hager's really the guy that's known for being the MMA guy in AEW. So I wonder what you thought of that.
I thought it was good booking to go 2 rounds at least. I thought that was that was a good choice. I think in theory, the MMA cage fight is like really exciting and like a really exciting idea. And then once it actually begins, it's kind of not as exciting as, you feel with the anticipation of it. Because
I think it's true of actual MMA too. Like, people think of MMA as being so exciting and violent, and a lot of MMA is like that. Like, they're kind of feeling each other out. They're tentative.
yeah, I didn't like the fact that I felt like Hager wasn't protecting his face or his head, and I feel like it wasn't like a natural cage fight performance from Hager. I like that he got the win. I hated the Hurricane Rana spot that Wardlow did.
Oh yeah.
I thought that felt really out of place.
Yeah.
In the cage fight, doing a Hurricane Rana and it like working perfectly.
Yeah.
That was weird. I like I like the way the first round ended. I thought that felt very, very real and cage fight like, and when like Hager is like toppling around the sides of the cage and going in a circle and sort of trying to keep his balance. I thought that looked really good and looked really effective. I like the choices of bringing Jericho to the side of the ring and bringing Sean Spears to the side of the ring. I thought that was cool. I could have done without adding the Sammy and MJF stuff at the end. I felt like that kind of took away the spotlight of what you were doing for Hager and Wardlow a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's just, like, I think they just had this one opportunity to set up the MJF Sammy Guevara match they obviously wanted to do this coming week. and that's kind of how they had to do it. I didn't have too much of a problem with it, just because, like, I mean, we were talking last week about how it's kind of cool how they're splitting up the Inner Circle Pinnacle feud into all these individual ones, and I think that works even better if there's always some other people showing up in some of these matches for whatever reason. It like, you know, maintains the connection between the characters and reminds you that this is all, you know, part of a larger thing. So I like it in that sense. I also thought MJF punching Dean Malenko was really effective and got him a lot of heat.
I forgot about that, but I rubbed up against that big. I'm like, you guys like were like torturing and murdering Dean Malenko before Stadium Stampede. You unprecedentedly like tortured Dean Malenko and held him captive before Stadium Stampede. That wasn't even like, that was a month ago. All right. And now just punching him once is supposed to make me feel like he's the worst? Like, come on.
Did they torture him? Like, I feel like, I know they kidnapped him, but did they like?
He was bloodied and he was tied to.
Oh, yeah, was he?
To the goalpost, and he was all his clothes were all ripped up.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think of that.
Like, that was the first thing I thought. I'm like, whoa, Dean Malenko, you know not to mess with these guys. They'll take you away and kidnap you.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that does kind of make just MJF punching him once seem a little bit not that egregious.
Yeah.
Because the announcers sold it like, oh my God, I can't believe he fucking, like, JR brought it up like an hour later. I'm still pissed about that. Like,
yes, in the middle of the women's match, he's like,
right, yeah. Of course, yeah.
Everyone's trying to put over the match, and JR's like, that MJF, I can't believe
it. Yeah. That's fair.
What was next after that? Shining segment.
The next up was the Team Taz promo, I believe, where Taz basically tells Ricky that this thing with him and Cage, who is not even there, has to end. And Taz challenges Page, challenges Hangman Page to a match with Will Hobbs.
It was an okay little bit. I like that Powerhouse Hobbs finally got some mic time.
Mm-hmm.
And was pissed that he got left high and dry in the middle of his match.
Right.
I love the way Taz delivers his promos, that he's like, you're a top guy in this country, in this company. Powerhouse Hobbs is a top guy in this company. So you should have a match together.
You really notice the difference in someone who in their promos and then whatever they do knows how to put people over even when they're supposed to hate them. That's an art. Like, it's hard to do, and I mean, it's not that hard to do. Sometimes they make it seem like it's harder to do than it actually is, but too often they just, like, anybody you're supposed to not like, you just like bury them, and that's not good business. If you bury somebody that you're feuding with and then you beat them, well, who cares? You just spent the last month telling us that they're worthless and they suck. So who cares if you beat them? That's like, you got to raise the stakes in that way and be like, this guy is a top guy and I'm going to kick his ass. And then when you do, people care about it,
I agree. It was an okay little bit. This episode definitely had a lot of smaller pieces that were sort of stuck together to fill out a whole episode.
Yeah, I'm looking at my notes and like I was surprised how much I have to scroll because there's like so many different things that happen. They were all just like shorter things There was so much like exposition and just like little vignettes and little things in between the matches.
So what do we got next?
Next up, we have Darby Allin pulling a Sting and entering himself into a handicap match with Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. This I thought was really, really good. I really like this match.
This was a fantastic match. I wish that this would have opened the show. I think that this would have been if I'm a casual fan and I'm scrolling through channels and I see this match on, this is, like high quality AEW wrestling on TV.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Darby Allin's performance in this match. I loved the way his face paint was like breaking up and like hanging off of his face in like little strips and stuff as he was getting pounded. I really love the coffin drop. Like, the more he does it, the more I'm all about it as a finisher. It just looks so good, so badass.
It looks so painful. Like he doesn't weigh much, but he still weighs like, pretty, he weighs enough that dropping his whole entire body weight on you would hurt like hell, And it makes it satisfying smack when he like hits somebody and like the impact of it. Yeah, I love the coffin drop.
I
And
like
he can do it from fucking anywhere too. That's another thing.
Yeah. I like Ethan Page a lot. I like that they got a new sort of moniker now for Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, that they're the Men of the Year.
I didn't catch that. That's cool.
And they have, like, if you notice, their for their entrance, the video package that's on, it sort of looks like a bunch of like magazine pictures and clippings of them scrolling through as if they got like some sort of Men of the Year magazine award or wore some sort of like magazine models or something like that.
Nice.
So
very cool.
That's cool. Really, really solid match by everybody involved.
I really loved the end of the match too. There was this great sequence, the Darby crawling to his own corner and then hot tagging himself was a super cool spot. He like got a burst of energy and like that was a really cool, and that like popped the crowd really hard too. I loved the zip tie. I thought that was a very creative, very Darby type of creative thing to do to even the odds in a match like this. And the fact that Ethan Page still like hops over to break up the pin and then, throws Darby into the post and hits his finisher to win. The whole sequence was super cool. And like, the match was already good up until that point. And even the fact that like most of it was just Darby getting beaten up most of the match, which is what should happen. And that's good too. I like that, like he should be getting his ass kicked for like 80% of this match and then fire up for a comeback. Yeah, it was really well done altogether. I liked it a lot.
That toss into the post was extremely vicious.
It looked really.
It sounded like, like ding.
Mm-hmm.
That was
yeah. And he, like, guys like him that have that sort of lower amount of body weight can really, like, sell that and flop through the air when they go into the post like that. Another guy that's really good at that is Mustafa Ali. Is that his name? Ali for short now. He could take a throw into the post like very few other people I've ever seen. He just like flails and like it looks like he fucking died. It's great.
What followed this up?
Next up was Orange Cassidy versus Cesar Bononi, I believe.
The best friends and the wingmen sharing time.
I liked the wingman promo before the match. I thought they were pretty. I think it's like they have something here that they could make something out of, and it like I think it all came together on BTE actually, and now they're like making their way onto Dynamite, and they had this really entertaining promo where Cesar Bononi like seemingly almost out of nowhere just like yells out, "We're gonna make you pretty." And you're like, what? What is that? No, you're supposed to do the opposite. You're going to punch him in the face and make him unpretty. And then they revealing what they meant by that every time Orange Cassidy gets thrown out of the ring, they start giving him a makeover. And I loved it. I thought that was super entertaining and awesome.
They hit him with the spray tan.
Right. They're like really bad, like really awful spray tan.
They put the Hollywood Hunks jacket on Orange Cassidy and forced him to wear it.
Yeah. And the interactions between best friends and wingmen when they started to kind of realize, oh, they're interfering in this match. And there was that really great sequence where one by one, each of the wingmen tries to interfere. And one of the best friends shows up, like Trent, like shows up on the apron and like makes a face, and then Chris Statlander shows up to stop another one and like boops him on the nose, and like this was such an entertaining match. This is like really good like entertainment / comedy style wrestling, and it was I really enjoyed that from AEW because you don't get it that much. It's much more serious a lot of the time, I feel like.
It was really good. JR kind of tried to mess it up a few times. There was one moment, I think at the beginning of the match, where JR is like, these wingmen, they all seem like they're from different walks of life. What are they even doing together? And it's like, JR, that's the point. Like,
that's like really vaguely racist, JR. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, there's always, I feel like there's almost always a marked difference in JR's commentary for the stuff he is familiar with and likes, and the stuff that he is like almost completely unfamiliar with and doesn't give a shit about. And this is like one of the latter, he's like, who are these people? What's happening? I don't care about this. I'm going to shit on it the whole time.
He's like, this Bononi guy is pretty big. Like, this is like the first time he's ever seen Cesar Bononi.
Right?
JR, you've called a match of his before. Come on.
Yeah, right.
It was a good match. And it was unexpected, and they're both kind of babyface factions, sort of. So it was interesting to see how they played off of each other.
I also thought it was interesting. There was, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but it seems like to some extent they're, working more and more trios related stuff into the show. Like this wasn't exactly trios, but best friends are, sort of basically a trio. 3 of the wingmen could be a trio. The main event was a trios match. So I wonder if they're kind of slowly phasing more and more of that in, building us up to, dropping that trios title announcement. I hope so.
That's the rumor. We will see. What do we got next?
Next up, Kenny Omega trying to start a fight with Jungle Boy for some reason.
It
was weird.
Was this with was Alex Marvez in this one too?
I think so. I think he was like interviewing.
This is like one of the biggest weeks of Alex Marvez's career. He had so many things to do. So many people had to do.
Yeah, the best part of this to me was when Kenny and Don Callis got in the golf cart and Michael Nakazawa tried to get in. They kicked him out, and so that he could just beat him up. That was great.
And then Kenny screams like a super villain, "I'll get you next time, Jungle Boy."
It's great.
Yeah, that was the best part of the whole interaction.
Yeah, but everything leading up to that was like really awkward. He's just standing there like trying to get him to hit him, and Jungle Boy is just kind of like, what do you You want me to hit you? What, like, he doesn't know what's going on almost. And once again, not something that I was that interested in, but I know Steven last week was talking about the street clothes of Mr. Jungle, and he is once again without jungle apparel this week. Once again in sweats.
At least put on your own merch, man. Come on.
Right. Yeah. Or like have it like under your sweater and the sweater open or something like that,
Yeah, I'm not saying you need to have a bag made of, leaves, but it would help.
I mean, I would be into that. Yeah, like I would be super into it if he just walked around in a loincloth all the time. Like he's supposed to be from the jungle. He's Jungle Boy. He's the boy from the jungle. He should be like Mowgli.
He's got his gear in like a wicker basket on his head. Just like, okay.
Yeah, right. Oh God. So that was a thing that happened. Next up, we have the interaction between Christian Cage and Matt Hardy during an interview with Matt Hardy. I think also by Alex Marvez, maybe? Or was it somebody else?
Let's take a look at that interaction.
Yeah.
A minute.
It is. Look at that.
Here with Matt Hardy in the Hardy family office. And Matt, your history with Christian Cage is well documented. And after he eliminated you in the Casino Battle Royale, a Double or Nothing, it just seems like the issues between you two are not going to end.
Alex, do you know what happens when you break a contract? You face repercussions. And I had a contract, I had a handshake, and that was a binding agreement. And he breached that contract, so now he's paying those repercussions. That's why the last couple of weeks on Dynamite, I've been dropping him on his ass. Yep. And that's gonna continue to happen if he keeps coming down this road. He was retired from injuries for 7 years, and he made this miraculous comeback. It was a very happy ending. But if he keeps coming for me, I'm gonna send him.
Hey, stop! Hey, put him in the cage! Lock his ass up! Lock him up! Lock his ass up! Lock him up! You're not going anywhere! Lock him up! Lock him up! Lock him up! Lock him up!
I want to talk to you. Open it up. I want to talk to you. Look, I'm going to give you an out. You were gone for 7 years. Retire. Go home. Spend time with your daughter. I'm going to fund it. This check was your retirement fund. Here, take this. And listen to me very closely.
Matt!
Open this cage, you piece of shit. Open it right now. That's not going to happen. Maybe a little alone time will give you some perspective. Because if you keep coming after me, I'm going to end your career.
Are you?
Permanently.
So, Christian Cage in a cage. Are they going to have a cage match?
I really like this a lot. I really love this, like, animosity masquerading as concern trolling. That Matt
See clearly.
off the rails.
Commercial. Oh, sorry.
The condescension of offering him retirement money and like telling him he's gonna end his career. Like, I think I was saying last week also, like, I really like the idea of putting these particular iterations, these two guys together, the big money Matt and the outwork everyone Christian Cage, the contrast between those two characters, and two of the more compelling characters in either guy's career so far, and have been giving us a lot of great stuff from that. And this really like raised the stakes in terms of the insult that was given to Christian by like stuffing the check through the cage and like letting it fall on the floor, and the fact that he is like trying to pass it off as, oh, I'm concerned about you, go spend time with your wife and your family. You know, I am really looking forward to where this angle goes from here. And I honestly am also really looking forward to whenever they actually have a match to blow off the feud. I think it's actually going to be a lot better than people might expect it to be.
I'm assuming that's what the next pay-per-view should be,
Right.
or the next big Dynamite, bout.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. I like seeing the Hardy family office working together, and backing him up during his promo. I thought it was a little contrived the way they set it up with Alex Marvez, like starting an interview, like asking one question, and then all of a sudden, like 2 security guards are already holding Christian back.
Yeah.
And then they like pull him in. Like that could have been, I don't know, staged a little bit more interestingly for my
I think, it reminds me of one of my favorite things going back and watching old episodes of Monday Night Raw. When you get to around like 96, 97, the sort of ongoing feud between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bret Hart. One of my favorite things, and it speaks to a complaint that I've had about other wrestling shows for a while. In that feud between Austin and Hart, just about every time either of those guys is on camera somewhere in the building doing anything, within like 30 seconds, the other guy will show up and start kicking his ass every time it happened. And it really put over the like animosity that these guys had between each other, where like they would watch the show and be like, oh shit, he's there, I'm gonna fucking go kick his ass. And you never get that. So many times in like WWE and elsewhere, like you'll see these segments where guys are getting interviewed and that the other guys are watching, that they know where they are. Why doesn't that guy that hates him go fucking kick his ass? Like he knows where he is right now. He can just jump him from behind, and it barely ever happens. And in that feud, it happened every single time. And it really put over the animosity between the two of them. So the idea that Christian shows up like almost immediately actually is kind of cool, I think. Like he fucking, as soon as he knew where Hardy was, he fucking went and got him. So I thought that was kind of cool.
What if it had been presented as, look who we caught in a cage. We put Christian Cage in a cage, and now it's time to tell him, make him his final offer,
Yeah, I mean that would be a cool way to like, you shorten the segment. First of all, you give more time to something else. You make it look more chaotic than it really was. If you could come in the middle of them forcing him into the cage. Like you go to like, oh shit, we have something's happening, and you go to the footage of like they're in the middle of putting him in the cage, and then you take it from there. That would be actually a lot cooler, I think.
Yeah. What followed this up?
Next up, we have Cody and Brock Anderson versus QT Marshall and Aaron Solo.
The big debut of Brock Anderson.
I thought he looked good. I thought he looked really good. I thought this was a really good, fundamental tag match. Cody got a good, really super hot tag. Was tight, and Brock gets the pin and a hug from Dad. And, I thought this was, it wasn't anything spectacular or mind-blowing, but it definitely did what it needed to do. It gave Brock the chance to show what he can do. He looked good. He got the pin. He got a moment with his dad. So I liked it.
I like the psychology in the match a lot. I like that QT was avoiding locking up with Cody and like sort of forcing Solo to do a lot of the leg work during the match. and then QT just wanting to go in and like fight Brock, knowing that he has the advantage of experience over him and stuff. I like Brock's physical capabilities. I think he looks good in the ring. I'm nervous now that they're gonna do, the Brock Anderson heel turn, and Arn and Brock are gonna turn on Cody and kick his ass. Because I do enjoy the Arn Cody relationship in AEW.
Yeah, I think they're good together, and I think if anybody else leaves the Nightmare family, they're barely gonna have anybody left. You know what I mean? So I don't know if I can see that happening, and especially this early on in Brock his career. I think he is kind of a natural baby face for a while. If they're gonna turn him heel, I think it would have to be, down the line when he's established as a baby face, as opposed to now when he's kind of, initially over as a baby face, but not really that established as one. And so the turn wouldn't be as, impactful, I think, if he's like only just established a character and it suddenly changes.
Yeah, I feel that. I liked this match a lot. I like the feel of all of these Cody matches. I think it's really important for them to have a Cody related segment on every show, just because I feel like it gives the company more variety. Like, there is an undistinguished change of style from, the Rancho Cucamonga high flyers to, this old school wrestling. And I think it's important. This match too would have been a great match to start the night with. A lot of good matches that could have opened Dynamite.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think another thing that might go a little under the radar in this match is Aaron Solo looked really good too. We didn't get to see him a lot, and he didn't get to do anything too flashy. So it would be easy to not realize that he had a great match too. He looked good. He made a lot of other people look good too, which is an important skill to have as a wrestler. So I want to give a little shout out to him too.
Yeah, he was doing a lot of the work for this match, and he really made everyone look like $1 million. So
definitely,
that was great. And I like that there wasn't a lot of chicanery with Nick Comoroto. They let it be sort of an honest match.
Right. Yeah. I think they have a tendency to fall into the trap of, wanting to tell stories so badly that they end up having every match have a distraction finish. And it gets a little old after a while. At some point, you want to just see a match where nothing happens, at least during the match, which in some cases, for some, for heel champions, it's kind of necessary to some extent. Although it would be nice to be able to see heels that can win without cheating. It's okay to have heels that can win without cheating.
Well, I think Miro's proven that.
Yeah, absolutely. But he's like a dominant figure. The Young Bucks, the premise of the Young Bucks is that they are, if not the greatest tag team in the world, they're one of them. And for them to be like cheating in every match, the Young Bucks should be able to beat some of these guys without cheating. And then, at the same time, we get that, maybe it has something to do with they're insecure. Maybe they are actually that good and they've just become insecure, and that's why they're joining up with the elite and becoming bad guys and cheating all the time.
I think you're giving them way more complexity than they deserve.
I mean, you know, headcanon is a thing for a reason. So
What was next?
the next thing was the Jake the Snake Lance Archer promo, which was I liked a lot. It was short and to the point. I like Jake the Snake here. He looks like legitimately like freaked out about the state of Lance Archer currently, and that like he might do something crazy or dangerous or ill-advised. And then Lance Archer just pacing behind him, and you know, Jake the Snake saying, you know, Lance Archer's run out of patience was basically the whole premise of the promo. And that's an interesting, you know, factoid to drop in and kind of put in people's heads of like, okay, Lance Archer's run out of patience, so what's he gonna do now? And that's intriguing.
Will he invade the Jungle Boy Kenny Omega match?
You'd have to think that he is thinking of doing something disruptive in some way, of some, you know, most likely championship match, because he, you know, like the whole premise of the kind of the feud with Miro even was, you know, Lance Archer and the whole thing with Sting too. Remember that thing with Sting that they did where he was like, you know, Jake the Snake was saying Lance Archer's tired of getting shoved aside for all these other people. And Sting was like, yes, I agree. You should be going and getting what you want. So how is that going to play out? How is he going to go out and get what he wants? Usually that involves, you know, disrupting some sort of title match or, you know, attacking some champion. Maybe he'll go attack Miro. That would be kind of cool to see Miro on the defensive for once. Have Lance Archer just like find him in the locker room and beat the shit out of him and have them have another match. That would be really cool, I think.
Miro's talking about God so much. It would be amazing if Lance Archer fights him at church.
Or no, he can give him a little, you know, like everybody dies, even God.
Oh my god. It was cool. I like the aesthetic that they've kept up with Lance Archer, that like whenever you see him that he's not on camera, he's in like some bombed out building that looks just like totally demolished.
Yeah.
And that's like cool that they're always, you know, lurking in empty.
He just hangs out in an abandoned warehouse with Jake the Snake, just like getting mad about shit.
Getting mad and plotting his career. Perfect.
Yeah. Good stuff. Next up is Jim Ross interviewing Andrade El Idolo. Steven did not like this, so I'll let Steven start.
Well, I'm already on edge with, you know, I don't know why they paired Andrade with Vicky. I think, you know, Vicky was already a, you know, semi-successful manager with Nyla Rose. He didn't have to put Vicky with a Hispanic person on AEW, and that was refreshing to me, that she doesn't have to be with somebody who's Hispanic. And then they get a big, you know, Hispanic star, and they just put him with Vicky, and seemingly to me, there's no connection. And if Andrade's going to speak for himself, which he did in this interview, and he did pretty well, I like his gimmick. He's got the, you know, rich guy, perfect gimmick. Let's take a look. Let's take a look.
The idol. Andrade, el ídolo, sir. El ídolo.
You're a superstar. You can't go anywhere in the world if people don't know who you are. So my question to you is, why did you choose AEW now?
For many reasons. Here, many talent, many stars. But I am superstar.
You know, the world knows.
I like that line. I like him saying, but I'm superstar. It's kind of a reference to WWE, which I thought was cool. But they have like these giant subtitles on him. Like, is his is his English really that bad that he needs?
Yeah, that's one of those things that sometimes like it borders on vaguely racist. Like I can understand him. I'm sure there are people that watch AEW that's like, what's he saying? But like, yeah, it's I mean, I hate to even call it that, but it is a little bit like vaguely racist to like put up subtitles for his English. Like I can understand him very well. I don't really need the subtitles.
Like, I get it using subtitles if he was going between Spanish and English
Right.
and using Spanglish, but he's
Which
not.
he does at one point. He does at one point.
At one point, but not in this
like,
part.
Like a sentence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of pro wrestling that AEW holds two of the greatest championships that have ever been created, and they're new.
I'm also like, AEW's this big company, right? Why are they having an interview in a kitchen?
Maybe that's supposed to be his house. It's all fancy.
Is it supposed to be his house? Why are they having an interview in a kitchen in front of 3 potted plants?
Yeah, they're like right in front of his like refrigerator, and the sink is over there, and yeah.
Like the classic JR interview segments, like all you need is like a little pipe and drape and some seats.
Well, they used to. I think they've done a couple of them, and like it looked like almost like a skybox in the stadium, in the Jaguar Stadium.
That looks better, but like there's like a fridge in the center of the frame.
Yeah.
And this guy's supposed to be this wrestling badass, and I'm just like, is he Martha Stewart? I don't know.
I mean, maybe it's supposed to make him look rich. He has this like fancy looking sort of refrigerator. But,
it would be funny if they were doing this interview and Charlotte Flair walks to the fridge, takes out some orange juice in the middle of the interview.
That would be hilarious.
As like a flex.
Yes. That would be great.
Greatest championships that have ever been created, and they're new, and they're hot, and they come with a lot of money. The AEW World Title, TNT title. I would assume, without sounding overly stupid, that's on your radar.
This is my next goal. I want not know. I deserve opportunity for the TNT title or for the AEW World Title. This is my next step.
Another amazing surprise, and we see a lot of on Dynamite, was the fact that you were presented by Vicky Guerrero. Person unknown forever, seemingly.
Many things. She understands the business, she's smart. Yo soy tercera generación. Ella creció con Eddie Guerrero. Conoce la familia de Eddie Guerrero, que son muchos luchadores, igual que mi familia. This is why we have a great connection. But you need to wait.
So she's been around a lot of wrestlers. My family is a lot of wrestlers. Thus, we are connected.
Well, they both come from like wrestling families. I think that's a decent connection.
Okay. I feel you. I just wish that it was Vicky Guerrero, his manager, the one telling me this. Like, you know, I've known Andrade since he was, you know, like the way Don Callis does. Like, you know, I knew Andrade when he was a little kid, and I knew he was going to be a champion one day, and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Because Vicky and Andrade el ídolo have surprise.
Have surprise.
Surprise. What's the surprise?
What could his surprise be? Everything else about this interview felt so vague. Like, he's like, yeah, I'm going after both titles, maybe, you know? Everything felt vague except for that last bit of like having a surprise.
You have a specific surprise, yes.
So I hope that's worth the hype.
I hope so too. You know, when you say we have a surprise, you know, that
No surprise.
to me that's entails like, you know, they have something significant to tell us or show us. Otherwise they wouldn't say I have a surprise. They would just tell you what the thing is if it's not that surprising or interesting.
What
Hopefully.
do we got next? That's not Charlotte
Next
Flair.
up,
Anything Orange
we
Juice.
have Hangman and the Dark Order show us the meaning of friendship.
Oh, this was one of my very favorite parts of the show.
I love this.
Um,
Adam Page and the Dark Order. And Adam, Team Taz has challenged you to a match against Powerhouse Hobbs on next week's Dynamite. Special Saturday Night Dynamite. Do you accept?
Hobbs.
I just want to imagine Alex Marvez just running around Daly's place during Dynamite, like, gotta run to the Dark Order's lair now. Only got 3 minutes till the next segment. Okay.
There should be an Alex Marvez vlog on YouTube.
He's running to segments.
Of just him running around and interviewing people and
There's
like
some
running into people and like doing slapstick.
He has an IV full of Gatorade in his arm.
Beat and myself by himself, so I think it's more than earned. So sure, I accept. But honestly, right now I'm with good friends. I got cold beer, and that's all I'm worried about.
Well, something else you may be interested in is on next week's Saturday Night Dynamite. It's Jungle Boy against Kenny Omega for the AEW World Title as the number 2 ranked men's single competitor. This really affects you as well.
Well, while I'm in a good mood, I want to mention John. John's shoulder's nearly healed. He'll be back in action real soon. I want to mention 10. 10 won the main event on last week's Dynamite. Yeah, I want to mention 5. He's got a new jacket, and it's all right. But Evil Uno.
Yeah, I lost, I know.
Yeah, no. Evil Uno, challenging for the TNT Championship last week, gave the performance of a lifetime. And win or lose, Evil Uno, you are a champion to us. So from me to you and the rest of the Dark Order, here to Evil Uno. There we go.
So this is a tremendous segment in AEW history because it's the first time since the drama with Hangman and the Elite and Kenny.
Imagine if life was like using software. If you felt like you...
Not again. I'm just getting punked this episode. So they did this on this episode where they finally mentioned Hangman Kenny Omega has the championship. You could face him next. On BTE, the Dark Order got strung out on some ancient cocaine-like drug that was very old.
Psychedelic substance of some kind.
And they all freaked out and had different visions, and Hangman's vision involved the AEW championship. So we're finally getting some of the build towards Kenny and Hangman and what that means. And as we see, Hangman is not ready to deal with it yet.
Right. Well, so, we are just over 2 months out from All Out. So you'd have to think that could very well be what we're going to see at the pay-per-view. It's 2 months from now. So, we could go through a lot of cycles of people who are number 1 contenders, maybe 1 or 2 more before getting to All Out. So it definitely could be, and then I think November is Revolution, right? So, it could even be even that much further down the line, but sometime before 2021 is over, I think we are going to see Hangman Page at least begin his journey to capturing the AEW championship. That being said, I love this segment for a very different reason, which is that, you know, Hangman is hanging out with his friends in the Dark Order, right? And he's, you know, he's a much bigger star than any of those guys. I think that's safe to say. So here comes Alex Marvez, and he's only interested in interviewing Hangman Page. He wants to talk about the challenge from Will Hobbs. He wants to talk about where he sees himself in the AEW title picture. And what does Hangman do? He goes, yeah, whatever. But what about fucking John Silver? He's fully healed and gonna come back soon. What about 10? He had a great match. What about 5? He
got a jacket.
It's okay. What about Evil Uno? He uses his platform he deflects everything about himself and all the focus on his shit to lift up the accomplishments of his friends. That is so fucking awesome. That is, I think, you know, anybody who's a long time listener of ours knows how much I love friendship-based wrestling. And the Dark Order may be one of the best modern examples of it. They are so good at modeling true friendship, and you know, it extends all the way from, you know, Hangman's being ostracized from the elite by a bunch of people who were being really shitty friends to him. You know, he was dealing with a problem, and his friends were like, your problem is affecting our lives, so you can't be our friend anymore, which is horrible friendship. So here come the Dark Order to show us and show Hangman Page the true meaning of friendship. And they've been modeling that ever since they kind of became friends. And this was a fantastic example of it. And it warmed my heart.
10 out of 10 segment. Best of the night.
10 out of 10, yes.
Great job, Alex Marvez.
Yeah, good job. You made it. Next up, we have Julia Hart versus Penelope Ford, which was a really fucking good match and got stuck in the 11:30 death spot and got a huge chunk taken out of it once again. It's becoming more common again with women's matches for this to happen. But the match was really good. Julia Hart got to show what she can really do. She's only had one match on Dynamite, I think, and it was a squash match. But she got to show some stuff, and Penelope Ford continues to impress me. I remember the last time she wrestled, I was like, I never thought of Penelope Ford as being like that great of a wrestler, but she really showed me something, and she was great in this match too. And I also really liked, you know, Miro coming out and just like he's on a war path. Excuse me. On a war path looking for Kip and ends up just beating up the Varsity Blondes and gets into a pull-apart brawl with Brian Pillman Jr., which was really interesting. And I think now we're getting Brian Pillman challenging for the TNT title, which should be really good too. So good segment overall.
It was a really good match. I like Penelope Ford a lot. I thought this was a great performance by her. I agree 100%. I was a little annoyed with the Miro Brian Pillman stuff just because they were still fighting at the end. And then they cut away to another segment. And I was like, no, I want to see them either get, you know, I want to see where this action leads. Are they going to get pulled apart? Are they going to fight forever? What's going to happen?
I actually kind of like that. Like it I think it puts over the chaos of it a little more if, you know, they're kind of, because this is a show and they have a schedule to keep to. Well, so if they have to cut to the next thing in the middle of this thing that they weren't expecting to happen, I think that feels a little bit more organic, actually.
I don't know. To me, it's organic if, like, this is chaos. We're going to a commercial break. But you have chaos that's you had refs in the ring not being able to take things apart. Like, I don't care about whatever you're showing me next. I want to know what Miro's doing. Is he gonna kill Brian Pillman? Like, as a viewer, it's blue balls to not see Miro kill. And also, I love the arrogance of Miro. That he's like, I am God's favorite champion. I'm here. I'm not gonna leave you out here alone with the odds stacked against you. And everybody the announcers just being like so horrified that Miro has come out to defend her honor after, putting Kip Sabian in the hospital.
Yeah, Miro definitely is, if not the most legitimately terrifying wrestler on the planet, he's definitely in like the top 5. He is so terrifying. And he's so he plays it so well, and the announcers put it over really well. You get the advantage of JR actually knows who this guy is, so he is like legitimately terrified. So yeah, that was really good.
You always get a better push when JR knows who you are.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so next up we have Britt Baker and Rebel, not Reba, in an interview. Was this also an Alex Marvez? Did he run his little butt off to the next segment?
Let's check. It's usually a Tony Schiavone with Tony Schiavone.
Oh yeah, because it's Britt Baker, right?
Yeah, Britt always gets Tony.
Yeah,
she doesn't work with low class talent like Alex Marvez.
So apparently, Vicky has cashed in a favor from Tony Khan, a favor that she got in exchange for bringing in Andrade, and she uses that favor to get a tag match between Britt and Reba versus Nyla and Vicky. This is another one of those things. Remember when what was it? It was Moxley and Eddie Kingston had like taken Kenny Omega hostage in the ring, and Don Callis was like, no, I'll give you whatever you want. And they asked for a tag match between them and Omega and Nakazawa. And we were like, why wouldn't they ask for like a tag team title match or something? This kind of feels like the same thing. Like, why doesn't she ask for a title shot for Nyla rather than this weird tag match? Like,
or at least set up a stipulation that if you can beat her at a tag match, you will get a title match.
Exactly.
Like, at least set a stipulation.
You know that Vicky isn't going to fucking wrestle in this match. Like, she's going to stand on the apron while Nyla destroys Britt and Reba. So what are we doing? Are we going to, like, is she just going to destroy them and that's going to make Britt so mad that she puts her title on the line? Like, what's your end game here? It doesn't seem like there is one.
I just don't get their choice. Like, Britt Baker was a heel. She was a champion as a heel. Why is their first move for somebody to start, punking on Britt Baker and like not making her feel like a heel? Like, that just it all feels inorganic to me. Like, Britt Baker should be on top and she should be talking down to everyone else, and she should be starting, a feud with somebody that she knows she can beat.
I feel like part of it is everyone was so happy to see Britt Baker win the championship. Everyone, like, outside of kayfabe was really like, excited for Britt, how much she's improved over the last year. How the times in the spotlight that she's gotten, the unsanctioned match that made her a star, basically. And like you heard that what at Double or Nothing, people were on her side. A lot of people were on her side. So I feel like they want to capitalize on that, but also they don't necessarily want to permanently change her character because the character is such a, you know, it's such a great character and she's come into it so well and it's been so effective for such a long time. I think they want to give her a spot where she's not like the baby face, but she's not the heel. She's not the one who's being, you know, the bad person, so to speak, in the feud, and give people some more opportunities to kind of cheer her and maybe test out if they want to explore turning her baby face without actually doing it. But I think if this is leading to her actually turning babyface, I think that's a mistake because the character as it is now has been so on fire that it would be a really bad idea to change what they've been doing.
I agree. What do we got next in the show?
Next up, we have a really good video package featuring FTR and Santana Ortiz. I really like this a lot. I love the way that they outline the similarities and the differences between the two of them that kind of connect them and also make them hate each other. You know, the contrast between these North Carolina boys and these, you know, they're Puerto Rican, right?
New Yorkers.
But like, I think they're national or they're, you know,
yeah.
Would be, I think they're Puerto Rican, yeah. So these Puerto Rican guys from the streets of New York, and they're talking about that. This was really well done, and I think it really sets them up for a really compelling feud going forward.
It was a good package. I like seeing them put this type of production value onto Dynamite and not just have it on YouTube.
Right.
And I think this is you know, a good way to fill time and help build the stories without needing to have, you know, a run in and, you know, a quick scuffle and Dean Malenko get punched in the face. I think this is a lot better.
Yeah. I like the variety of how they're, you know, splitting up the Pinnacle Inner Circle feud. You know, they have this thing over here, this cage match thing with some run-ins and stuff. And then over here we have a very, you know, produced video package that's really well done. Keeping some variety in it to kind of keep it fresh, maybe. Feels cool. So yeah, I like this a lot.
I'd love to see a situation where there's some sort of triple threat tag team match with, you know, the Young Bucks and Santana and Ortiz and FTR. I think that could be, you know, a really exciting, fun match.
Definitely.
So I would love if they built it up to where like they're like tied in like, you know, the number one spot or something.
Yeah. I mean, you could even have it be a situation where, you know, the Pinnacle, Inner Circle, and the Elite are all kind of intermingling, feuding with each other. And that would be a cool dynamic to have, I think. I like the idea of like factions, you know, constantly feuding with like each other, not just one at a time, you know, like everybody's got some beef with this person, this team and that other team. You know, feels like a really cool way to open up the universe, which they've been really good about opening up the universe and having people acknowledge other feuds and be doing more than one thing at a time. So I think that would be cool.
Yeah, I've been watching I watched this YouTube channel called Wrestling Bios, and he was covering 1997 gang wars feuds versus the Nation of Domination, where they split up into different gangs, with one of them starting a biker gang called the DOA, right. And then Savio Vega, I think, starting Boricuas, and then them interfeuding with Nation of Domination, and then ultimately DX, and also the Hart Foundation.
Right.
So it really got, complex, and you have one faction trying to blame another faction for what they did to the third faction, and that causing more drama. So that I would love to see AEW bring back some of that sort of inter-rivalry.
Yeah, that would be really cool. That would be really cool for sure. They got enough factions to do it, so
yeah,
for sure.
And now we have the main event.
So yeah, last but not least, Eddie Kingston, Frankie Kazarian, and Penta El Zero Miedo versus Matt Jackson and the Good Brothers. So the first thing I want to say about this is give us the damn trios titles. Just to have that in there. I would really love to see more Good Brothers wrestling in AEW. I like them a lot. And not just wrestling, like they're really fucking entertaining in general. Especially on BTE, they're great. I know it's ridiculous and dumb, but I love Sour Boy. It's so stupid. The way that they all just like shake their heads when he's doing it, and they're just like, what the fuck? But they all think it's funny. And it's so dumb. But I like them a lot, and they looked really good in this match. It left me really wanting to see more Good Brothers matches in AEW.
I like the mix of the match with Penta and Eddie and Kaz as the elite hunter.
Yeah.
I really like the new intensity of Kaz, and I like his new video package, and his theme song, his intro was really cool. And I like they did Eddie's intro too, and his theme song, and I missed his theme song. His theme song's awesome.
Yeah.
I like that the Good Brothers and Matt came out, and they're all covered in like leather, and like they're sort of trying to match for the match. It was a solid match. I like that they had the hanging question of where is Nick Jackson, and then ultimately that pays off with Nick affecting the finish of the match.
Right.
I wish that he hadn't used the spray to affect the finish of the match.
We talked about that
because it's overdone. I wish he'd just like hit him with a move or something,
Right.
In a conventional way to get the win. And is this all just filler? Like, is this Penta, Eddie, elite stuff? Like, is this all just filler? Like, I'm just like so confused. Like, where does this go from here? Like,
I mean, to some extent, they are waiting for Moxley to come back from, having a baby. But I thought this match was really good, especially at the end. There was a succession of hot tags of this match that were just so excellent. First of all, Eddie Kingston is so good. I want to see Eddie versus Cody because they both are really good at working that old school, like 1980s fundamental wrestling style. And I would love to see them go at it and give me like a 5-star fucking NWA style slugfest.
That was Eddie's first match in the company, was him versus Cody during the TNT Open Challenge. Yeah,
I forgot about that. Yeah. Well, I would love to see what they could do with like a big spot on like a pay-per-view or something like that. Kaz also is so good at his job. His hot tag was, the crowd was eating it up. They were going nuts. his execution on that high leg drop that he does off of the sort of springboard high leg drop is always so good. He did one against the Young Bucks too that was so excellent, where one of them was like getting through the ropes and he like guillotined him, and it was so fucking good. And then Penta at the end also had a fantastic hot tag that was just, I mean, you know, it was just Penta being Penta, going a mile a minute. The best looking sling blade in wrestling, maybe. One of the few that like really does look good. Just the way that he spins in the air, and it looks like there's an actual, like, it looks actually impactful. So yeah, I really like this match. It didn't go many places. I have been noticing, I think the second hour of Dynamite, specifically when it's on Fridays at 10, the second hour doesn't do nearly as well as the first hour. So it seems like they kind of top load these Friday night Dynamites, and the second hour is kind of, you know, some of the less interesting stuff, at least to like casual fans, I guess.
Yeah, I was a little thrown off during the match because I was having flashbacks to earlier in the year, and I was thinking, like, what are they doing with Penta? Like, Penta at one point this year was like being a heel and like talking about Cody's family and like getting into a quick feud with Cody, and now versus the Elite, he's a babyface. He's a good guy. Like, I want them to have more of a vision for what they're doing with Penta, because I don't know.
Well, so they're doing something, because, you know, the reason that he's in all of this is, you know, the Bucks took out Phoenix, they took out Pac, and, you know, they took out Pac even after Eddie Kingston came in and started helping them. So I think it seems like they're kind of putting these people together into some sort of holding pattern. And I also feel like it is related somehow to the trios titles, because just the fact that, you know, they put Matt Jackson in a match with the Good Brothers and not like, you know, the Young Bucks with somebody else, like maybe Kenny or somebody, makes it seem like this is specifically designed to be a trios match, so that we start seeing more of these kinds of matches and start associating it with, you know, potential teams that could be formed or are already formed that could be potential trios champs. So I guess, yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things you got to wait and see what they're going to do, or what they're doing. But it's not, I will give you, it's not very clear right now what it is they're doing with these three guys and their sort of respective feuds that they've combined with the Elite.
Yeah. We'll keep our pulse on where that's going to turn out. That's the end of the show. The last image was the Young Bucks celebrating, right?
Yes, I believe so, yeah.
So a familiar image to end.
Indeed.
Dynamite.
We got one more Saturday Dynamite. And then I believe next week they go back to Wednesday finally. And then the week after that is Road Rager, where yours truly and Mr. Steven will be live in attendance in Miami, Florida for AEW Road Rager.
Whoa. And I'm gonna try to be ambitious, and we'll try to get maybe some vlog style footage of going to the event or something like that.
That would be good. That would be great.
To put on our YouTube page, Wundacast Productions. You can catch all of our latest podcast episodes on there. You can also find them on Spotify or Stitcher or Google Play or just the regular old Apple iTunes, Apple Podcasts page. Any final thoughts before I close everything out?
Dark Order shows us the meaning of friendship.
That they should do I'd love to see a Dark Order like animated special.
Oh wow, yeah, that would be great. That would be really good.
Dark Order, Friendship is Magic, or something like that.
Yes. Oh my god.
Something like tweet us at Wundacast. Keep up to date on all of our comings and goings at Wundablog. Check out wundablog.com for more information about us. I have been your host, Steven. They have been the podcast champion of the world and leader of this AEW coverage, D-Rock. And next week, they will be competing in the trials, or next episode, I should say, they will be competing in the Trials of Trivia. And we will have a bunch of Wundacast hosts on competing. So I'm very excited for that episode. I'll also be releasing it as a video episode on the YouTube page. So the first one ever in the history of the Wundacast. Very excited.
Moving up in the world.
Watch out, showing our faces. Now we can't just be trolls on the internet. Oh no.
Yeah, I know, right?
So yeah, this has been an episode of the Wundacast, The Fuse. I want to get some podcast art made for The Fuse so that it looks, a little different. Maybe a wick with a fire on it or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Something crazy. A wick with fire. Thank you very much for listening if you made it this far. And remember, kids, when they start giving you problems about your drinking problem, you go and join the Dark Order, or should I say not join the Dark Order, but just become best friends with the Dark Order, because it's equal to Alcoholics Anonymous.
Hail Wunder.
Hail Wunder.
Wundacast? Give it up for Wundacast, man. What an adorable name.
You're listening to the Wundacast.
What's up, everybody? This is Jason David Frank, Green Ranger. You're listening to Wundacast.
Subscribe to the Wundacast.